it's Thursday today and we are going to get started with your maths lesson. Now this week so far I have seen lots of pictures and videos of you using your mathematical brains and your mathematical language to solve problems. I just want to say well done to Zach, because yesterday he sent a video of himself using pasta at home to do some subtraction, and we really enjoyed that video, so well done. So today we're going to get started first with our reception booklet learning question. And our learning question in reception today is exactly the same as yesterday. So we're going to do something called embedding our learning, which means that we're going to do something again to help us remember so that we get better at it. So our learning question is, can I subtract numbers within 10? Now, the first thing we need to do is remember what subtract means. So show me the action. What is subtract? One straight arm. Super. Subtract means we take away. So our number goes from a big number to a smaller number. Super job, year one. So let's have a look then at some methods. Now methods mean different ways of working out an answer to a number problem or to a mathematical sum. So I've put 4 different sums and number problems on our board today, and we're going to use 4 different methods to work them out. So you will need your whiteboard and your whiteboard pen to start with. So if you've not got those already, pause the video and go and grab them. Once you've got them, we're going to start with the first number sentence, and I would like you to write it down on your whiteboard. Let's read our number sentence together, remembering our symbols and what their names are. 8, take away, or minus, or subtract. 3, and the symbol at the end, equals. And remember, that means our total. That's our answer. 8 subtract 3 equals. Now, for the first sum, we're going to have a go using our fingers. So how many fingers do I need to start with? Shout it out. Have a look at your number sentence. How many do I need to begin with? The bigger number, the number 8. Okay, so I've got 8 fingers here. Now how many do I need to take away? Have a look again at your number sentence if you need to remind you. 3, you are correct. So 8, and we're taking away 3, which means we need to get rid of them. 1, 2, 3. Now how many fingers do I have left? Shouting out your answer at home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is the number 5. So we're going to write that as our answer. So you're writing it on your whiteboard at home. Down and around and put on a hat. Super. So we've got our first answer. Now next we are going to have a look at another method to answer our second number problem. But first you must write it on your board, remembering your number formation. So saying it with me. 6 take away 2 equals. Okay. And I want you to do this one mentally, and that means you do it in your head. So no fingers, just thinking about what numbers come before. Because we've only got to take 2 away, we're going to count backwards 2 jumps in our head. Okay? So starting with the number 6, and I'm going to do 2 jumps backward in my head. 5, 4. So I know that 6 minus 2 equals 4. Did you get that one, year one? Let me know if you found doing it mentally tricky or easy. And if you found it easy, then have another go. See how many you can do in your head mentally. See what number you can get to in your head mentally. Now our next method is using a number line. So you can either draw your own number line on your whiteboard, or you can use your 100 square. And the first row of your 100 square is exactly the same as a 0 to 10 number line. So you can use the top row. Let's have a look at our number sentence. And you're going to write it down. 7 minus 4 equals. Okay, so write that down on your whiteboard so we're ready to have a look at our sum. Now, what do I need to start with? What number do I need to find first on my number line? You're right. Always the biggest number, always the number 7. Okay, so I'm going to find it on my number line. It's here. Now I'm going to put a circle round it so I remember where I begin. Now let's go back to our number sentence and have a look how many we've got to take away. 4. So I know when I'm taking away, just like yesterday, my number needs to get smaller. So if I jump this way, is my number going to get smaller? It's not. It will get bigger, and we know that's adding. So I know that I need to jump backwards when I am subtracting. So I'm going to jump backwards 4 big jumps. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need to keep that number 4 in my head. It's very easy to just keep going, so you must count the number that you need and remember to stop. So it's lots of tricky thinking because we have to remember when to stop, and that's really hard. But we've stopped at 4, so now put a circle around the number you land on. And I've landed on the number 3. So I now know that 7 take away 4 equals 3. And I'm going to write that in my box. Brilliant. Now the last one is a little bit tricky. And we're going to use objects to find out our subtraction sum. But let's have a look here. Something's wrong with my sum number sentence. It says something take away 3 equals, and then there's no answer either. Now I know that when I'm working out a sum, that's a subtraction sum, I must start with what number? The biggest. So I need to think about my objects, and I've got to take 3 away. But before I do that, I need my starting number. So we must count them all to fill in the missing gap of our subtraction sum. So let's count them. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to start with 7. 7. Now when I was counting, did you see that I touched each object one at a time to make sure that I was being really careful and I wasn't rushing, otherwise my number might have been wrong. And that's called one-to-one correspondence, and it's when we make sure we're touching each object one at a time. So we've started with 7, we're going to take away 3. And when we're using objects to help us, we can either, if they're real objects, you can take them away at home and move them out of the pile or the row. If you've drawn objects on your board, like me, we're going to cross them out. So have a look at our number sentence. How many do I need to cross out? Shout it at the board. 3, you are correct. Let's cross them out. 1, 2, 3. And then to solve my problem, my answer is always going to be however many are left. So again, using your one-to-one correspondence, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Super job. So 7 take away 3 equals 4. Now in your workbook today, if you have got the reception book, which is this one here, you are going to be working on page number 14. and you have got some different ways of solving subtraction problems here today, and you can use any of the methods that we have just discussed together to solve them, okay? Don't forget that your workbook is only the beginning, so once you've done that and you've had a go with me on the board, try some more for yourself on your whiteboard and tell your teachers what your favourite method is, or what your favourite object for helping you to solve your problems are at home, okay? Brilliant. So moving on then, if you have the Year 1 booklet, your learning question for today is, let's have a look. Year 1 book, can I subtract numbers within 20? Now, can you remember? That was yesterday's learning question as well. So we're doing the same again to make sure that we are superstars at subtracting. So to get our brains warmed up, I would like you to get your whiteboard and your pen, and I would like you to write the letter T, the letter S, and the letter M, all underneath each other. 1, 2, 3, just like me on my board. And we're going to think about our vocabulary to get our brains warmed up. And the vocabulary, that means our symbol of the week, subtract. So let's look at our first one. What word that begins with a T means subtract? Can you think? Can you remember? Thinking of yesterday? Thinking of Miss Evans? She told you all about our subtraction vocabulary? Shouting it out? That's right, superstars! Take away. I'm going to write that on my board, and you are going to do the same too. Take a take away. Oh, Miss James's is not the best, so I'm going to do it again. And you can do that at home as well. If it's not your best, rub it out and do it again. So we've got take away. Now we've got a S. What do we think that our vocabulary is that begins with a S? I've said it lots already. Subtract. Brilliant. Let's write that down to help us too. S. O. B. T. R. A. K. T. Subtract. Well done. Now there's one more. Is for, this is a tricky one. I have said it though. So we've got take away, subtract, or minus. And you will see some of this vocabulary in your workbook. So it's really important that we know what our vocabulary words look like, so we can help then to read our word problems, okay? So we've done our vocabulary. Now, I'd like a picture of your board with your vocabulary on, just so I know that we are really thinking about our words as well as our numbers. So the next activity then, let's think about how the same numbers can be used in different ways to get the same answer. And I've taken one of the questions from your book, and we're going to do this together, and then you will be able to answer the others independently, which remember means on your own. So looking at the example then from your workbook, we've got here a mixture of vocab, so a mixture of words and numbers. So it's really important that we look back, remember our vocabulary, so that we know how to solve the problem. So I'm going to read it for you. If 10 minus 4 equals 6, then 10 minus 6 equals what? Now this looks very, very tricky as a word problem, but I'm going to show you how to extract, so we're going to take the information we need from this to solve our problem. And actually, it's really, really easy once you know how. So let's do it together and then it will really help you with your workbook, okay? So let's have a look at what we need. We need to be able to get a sum together, okay? So let's start then with some of the numbers that we've got. So if 10 minus, we know that means take away, 4 equals. So if 10, so we've used that, minus 4 equals 6. Okay, then 10, and we'll write that, we'll go under here just so we can see them together. Minus 6, this word, equals what? Now let's look, okay? We can do this with our fingers, so we're going to check to make sure that sum is correct first. 10 minus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 6? 5, 6, it is. So we've worked that out and we know that's correct, so a tick there. So then 10 minus 6 must be, well, what number's left? Because all that's happening here is our numbers are being used in a different way. So we've used 10 and we've used 6. So what number's left out of here that we haven't used? 4. So let's put that there because it's exactly the same sum, remember, and just double check. So this time we're starting with 10 and we're taking away 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now look, how many have I got left? 4, which proves that we have worked that out correct. So we haven't used any different numbers. All the question is asking you to do is jumble the numbers around to get the same answer, okay? It looks trickier than it is, but all we've done is thought about taking away the opposite number in our number sum. And don't forget, this is even easier because these numbers are your number bonds to 10. So you know that 4 and 6 is 10, which must mean that 6 and 4 is 10. It's the same, just the other way around. So have a really good go at those in your workbook. You've got 3 questions that have got the same word problem as this, okay? And let us know how you get on. Then you've also got lots of missing numbers today. So let's have a look at an example. Here it says something, take away something else, equals 6. So our end answer is 6. So what do we know we must start with? It's got to be bigger, hasn't it? It's got to be a bigger number to begin with. But we've still got to take something away. So this is something that you can do where you can use trial and error. So you can try different numbers and see if you get the right answer. But thinking about your mental arithmetic here, so how we can think about taking away numbers. So I know that if I start with 9, that's a much bigger number than 6, isn't it? So if I start with 9, you've almost then already created a sum for yourself. What do I take away from 9 to get 6? Let's do it together. Get 9 fingers. Now remember, when I get to 6, I need to stop. So if I take away 8, 7, 6, how many fingers did I put down then? I've taken away 3 and I've got 6 left. So take away 3 will give me my answer 6. But you can do that in lots of other ways. So use your counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I've got 6 there, and I started with 9, didn't I? 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is a really good visual for you to see. So here are my 6, and that's my end answer, isn't it? And I know my number needs to be bigger, so I've added 3 more to see if that would work in our number sentence. So I've started with 6, 7, 8, 9, started with 9, and then I've taken away 3, and that's really easy to see because I still got my 6 left that I started with. So 9, take away 3 equals 6, and I've got my 6 there at the end. Now, I would like you, before you go into your workbook today, if you've got the Year 1 workbook, to have a go at doing 2 more of this style number problem for Miss James, okay? So have a go where you start with 2 blank spaces with an answer. I'm going to give you some, okay? So I'm going to draw you one here, and your number is going to be 4. So something subtract something equals 4 using this method. I'm going to give you one more. Something subtract something equals 2. So thinking about starting with that bigger number, how many do you need to take away to have 2 left? You can use this method or use your mental method. And then once you've done that and you feel confident and your parents are blown away, then you can move on to the problems in your workbook today. And you are working on page 14. And you've got word and number problems, number line problems, and then some of those really tricky missing number problems as well. So lots of work there for you today, Year 1. Have a good go. Then, Year 2 booklet. Today, you're not going to use your workbook at all. So I want you to get your workbook and put it away, because we're not going to use that today. Because yesterday, we started something that was quite tricky. We've done 2 days now on multiplication, and I don't think that we're ready to move on yet, because we're just getting started, aren't we? So we're going to carry on with some multiplication today, but you will need either a piece of paper or your whiteboard, probably both if you've got them, because then you can record your learning and it can stay there so we can see it and you won't have to rub it out, okay? So whiteboard for practicing and some paper for recording all of your answers, okay? So we're going to look then today at our learning question, and our learning question says, can I continue to multiply? Can we? I think we can. So to get our brains working, I've just shown us some of the vocabulary that we have on our multiply, okay? So multiply can mean times, and we always see that in our times table, okay? It can also mean multiply. It can also mean groups of or lots of. Now yesterday, when Miss Evans went through multiplication, you used some of this vocabulary when we were doing groups of and lots of, okay? And we're going to carry on with that today. So before you begin, I would like you to draw your very own vocabulary map, so that when you see these words or you hear them, you know that they still mean multiply, and we're still going to be multiplying our answer, okay? And it means when we don't just take 2 numbers and add them together, we are multiplying, so it means that we are doing the same thing but more than once, okay? So it's lots of or times. We're going to do the same thing but so many different times. So today then, you will need to get some items in your house that you can count or group. You will need quite a few of them, so I would recommend something like pasta or some chocolates or something like that. So pause the video now and go and get some counters or some objects that you can use for our first activity, okay? And once you've got them, we can carry on. So yesterday we looked at our sheep and you grouped them, okay? Now our groups yesterday were already done for us and we just had to figure out how many were in each group. But to further our multiplication learning today, we're going to start with a number and we're going to see how many multiples, which means how many lots of or how many groups of the amount we can make. And then we're going to turn them into number sentences. So let's count first how many you need for your first sum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would like you to get 10 objects ready. Okay? Brilliant. So I know now already that I've got one group of 10. And in a number sentence, that looks like this. 1 times 10 equals 10. So one lot of 10 equals 10. Now, let's see if we can do 2. So we've got 10. We know our answer will be 10. But what do we need? How many would be in each group if we had 2 groups? So 2 groups, so 2 lots, 2 times something is going to equal 10. And we're going to do that, like yesterday, by moving them now into 2 groups, okay? So let's have 2 lines. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now, we need to check that our groups are even. That means they've got the same. Otherwise, it's not a multiple. So, let's count in each group and see if we've got the same amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got 5 here. So I have got 2 groups of 2 times 5 equals 10. So I've already worked out 2 different ways that I can group the number 10 to turn them into a multiplication sentence. Now I want you, before you move on, to have a go with different numbers, grouping them and then putting them into number sentences. And you will notice that these then look like your times tables, and that's exactly what they are. So you might start with 12. How many ways can you group 12 objects but still make sure they are even? Okay, so that means we can't have any left on their own. Each group has to have the same amount for it to be a multiple, for it to work in our multiplication sentence. And that's really tricky. So a lot of your learning today is going to be practical. That means you're going to be moving around those counters that you've got at home and having a go and investigating our mathematical problems to figure out how many groups of numbers we can have. And you'll notice a pattern. You'll notice that you'll start seeing some of your times tables in your answers. So good luck with that first page. Take as long as you need to perfect this method before we go to the next page. So you can pause me now and then we can come back when you're ready. Okay? So, then for the second part, I want you to continue to multiply using a number line. And Miss Evans showed you this method yesterday. She showed you how we need to jump on our number line, didn't she? And remember, we're not jumping in ones anymore. We jump however many our number sentence tells us to. So let's have a look at the first one. 4 times 3 equals. So I need to make 4 jumps, okay? But how many do I need to jump each time? So I need to make 4 jumps, and in each jump I need 3 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to count on 3 each time, but I've got to do that 4 times. So let's do the first one together. So remember, we start at 0. So we'll draw an arrow for 0. So 0. Now remember, this is my first jump, and I've got to jump 3. 1, 2, 3. So that is jump number 1. Let's do it again, because I've got to do 4, remember? 1, 2, 3. That's number 2. 1, 2, 3 is number 3. And 1, 2, 3 is number 4. So, 4 lots of 3 equals 12. Excellent work. Now this is tricky because you have to not only remember how many jumps you need to make, but how many in each jump. So there's lots and lots of tricky thinking. So I've done another one for you here that I'd like you to work out at home, and then you could even have a go on your 100 square using a bigger number, because you will run out of space if you only go to 20. So if you're going to challenge yourself and do something like 6 times 4, you will need your 100 square. So give it a good go. And remember, like I said, this is your lesson today. So lots and lots of practice on those elements, on those number squares and on those number lines to get that sorted, okay? And to really, really challenge yourself. Now, to end then, this has gone too far, I have left you your work for today on the board, and this is where you'll need to make sure you've got some paper, because you're going to write these down, and then you're going to use any of the methods that we have used so far to solve these 6 multiplication sums, okay? So you could use your objects to group them. You could use your 100 square or your number line. Thinking about whatever method you prefer. Maybe have a go at all of them to really make sure that you can use each method properly. So lots and lots of learning there today if you've got the Year 2 book. Remember, you don't need your booklet today, but I want to see all of those different slides on some pictures for us. Even better, send us a video of you grouping your objects at home. That would be lovely. Lots and lots to do today. Even if you've got the reception booklet, you've got lots to do. So have fun, work hard, and we'll see you tomorrow.